Hey everybody, welcome back to the Storytime channel. My name is Steven, and let's get into our stories of the day.
Can I talk to someone who knows things, like a man?
This popped into my mind recently. I used to work at a retail tropical fish store, and as weird as it is, we were very well known. We used to provide the aquarium with rare fish, and people used to drive from 2 to 3 states over if they were true fish people to come buy from us. I, at the time 17-year-old female, was an expert in tropical fish and koi. In fact, it was my job that summer to be the koi and outdoor pond point person. And my job was not only stocking the ponds, but managing all the plants, caring for them, and knowing every bit of information and all the prices of the various koi and goldfish we had. I knew diets, temperature ranges, places of origin, special breeds, I knew it all. They would even call me with questions on my days off. That clearly did not matter to one customer though. He came inside the store and asked for some help with koi outside. I happily agreed as I was the only person not on my lunch break. Now this guy frankly seemed put off by me offering to help. So instead of buying anything, he decided to quiz me for 20 minutes about the koi, goldfish, and pond plants to try to get me to admit I don't know something. I answered every single one of his stupid questions, some were really stupid, and at the end of 20 minutes he had the balls to say,
"Can I talk to someone who knows things, like a man?"
Full emphasis in tone on those words too. "Sure you can," I say with a fake smile. "Let me get John for you." Here's the malicious compliance. John, name changed, was 75, retired, annoying as heck, and bat poop crazy. My boss didn't even want him to be hired, but he owed John a favor. Now John is an expert in goldfish, but he hates koi and outside ponds. John also, like I said, is really annoying and crazy, but he had a soft spot for me, so we would always chat. I went inside to find John and explained to him that this customer wanted a man to talk to. John asked me why he wanted to speak to a man when I was the pond point person. And I told him that he clearly just didn't like that he was speaking to a girl. John nods knowingly, gets this evil grin on his face, and goes to help the customer. 5 minutes later, I hear a man yelling in the parking lot. I run outside and find the customer screaming at John and cursing him out.
"What is wrong with you? Does nobody freaking know anything around here? I will never come back. You're all horrible and know nothing about fish, and you're a terrible employee."
Or something to that effect. I watch the guy hop into his car, slam the door, and drive off. I asked John what happened. He said, "Oh yeah, no, every time he asked me a question, I said, not sure. Good question though. I could go get OP and ask, she's really our pond expert." And apparently he did not like that. Customer, if you read and remember this, F you. Thanks for reading. Honestly, they probably shouldn't have even entertained them that much. They probably should have told the customer to just leave. If this was you, how would you handle it? Let me know in the comment section down below. "Bring me someone who speaks English. Call the manager." Some years ago, I moved into London from a non-English speaking country. On my first year, I worked on the cinema of a huge shopping center. Probably the worst job I've ever had. Low pay, bad conditions, long and late hours, physically demanding, and terrible customers in general. But my colleagues were great, and being new to the country, it's not that there was a wide variety of jobs for me to choose, so I stayed there for a while. One of the days I was working on the tills, I got to attend this difficult lady. I'll call her Karen. She definitely matched the profile, including haircut. In the foyer area of the cinema, there were trailers and loud music playing constantly in the background, to the point that during peak hours we often had to lean over the tills to hear our customers properly over all the noise. This day, our Karen arrives at the till, talking on the phone, and starts ordering without even looking at me or hanging up. I try to follow her the best I can, but she keeps ignoring my questions and looking around while talking to the phone. So I can barely hear her. Plus, I keep interrupting her conversation with all the necessary questions. You know, if you want a combo, you need to tell me the size, choice of drinks and snack, extras, and so on. Otherwise, I will have to ask you one by one. This lady seemed pissed off by me trying to do my job. Maybe she wanted me to guess her choice of popcorn? God knows. The thing is, after my second or third question, and still being on the phone, she starts shouting at me, "God, they put immigrants like you on the tills? What do they expect to happen? I want to speak to someone who speaks English. Bring me the manager." Now, I am not going to say that my English is flawless and I definitely have a foreign accent, but having spent most of my life studying English, I have had an advanced and fluent level for years, and I definitely never had any problem with any customer before that day. Anyway, judging by the looks of the rest of the customers, I understood that Karen's behavior was speaking by itself, and I let her have the rant instead of answering her. Big smile. "Karen, I speak English perfectly, but I will bring you the manager anyway. I'll be back in a moment." I leave the till as it is. She didn't let me finish asking her about her order, so the till was including by default some expensive extras in the combo, and I leave her waiting. I ignore the fact that the closest manager is around the corner and take a long walk to the office. I have to mention here that she was late for her movie from the beginning, because some people know that there are around 20 to 30 minutes of ads before the movie begins and they arrive at the venue right on time, not considering the fact that at peak hours there are always queues. So I took my time, walked to the office, have a little break from the noisy foyer, say hi to a couple colleagues on my way, and finally find my manager, who happens to be from the same country as I am. By the time we are back, Karen is fuming, already around 5 to 10 minutes late to the movie. My manager serves her politely, and while she is still paying, he starts talking to me in our language, something that he never did in front of any customer before or after Karen. AK. She ended up being served by 2 immigrants, spending around 40 pounds on some overpriced combo and arriving 15 minutes late to her movie. It just sounds like this person is insensitive and ignorant. And honestly, the end result probably wasn't even as bad as she deserved. I'm just gonna say it. Malicious Walmart Compliance. So I used to work at a Walmart supercenter. It was my first job. I eventually ended up working what's called One Touch. Basically, these large boxes come off the line full of loose items. Vitamins, shampoo, dog toys, etc. Basically just stuff that the packaging broke on in the warehouse, or that were too small to put in separate boxes, and I have to sort through them and put them in the corresponding tubs. The tubs were labeled with a certain type of product within departments, which after I was done, I stacked on pallets or flat carts and took out to the sales floor. The management at this particular Walmart was absolutely horrible. There are multiple stories of them just not giving a crap about the employees or the customers. For instance, they once told me to put a ruined pack of protein drink mix, a box of those little paper pouches, in the stuff to go to the floor. The box was ripped open, half the pouches were missing, and the rest were soaked to the point of dripping in fabric dye. A bottle in the box that box was in had broken open. I was told by a manager to prioritize making the store money over customer safety. I was going to put that box in claims, damaged or destroyed items, so we could get something back for it. Don't worry, the malicious compliance story is next. I'm just telling the story of why I left. After that, I decided no, walked over to the trash compactor, tossed it in, and crushed it. Now for the compliance story. I had already put in my notice, a 3-day notice, as I had got a new job sooner than expected, and I was on my last day. Now the management would often force me to sort through the returns as well, and I'd see the same broken items multiple times because half the people in that store won't do their darn jobs. Even some of the people on my team were incompetent and even destroyed store property and or were caught stealing, and put them in my boxes to take to the floor. Now, this particular day was extremely busy and I was working overtime and was completely exhausted. I had already worked 2.5 hours after my shift was supposed to end. And here comes management with not 1, not 2, but 7 buggies, shopping carts, overflowing with returns. I asked if they could be done tomorrow by someone else, since I was already overtime, exhausted, and started my next job in 8 hours. This would have taken me at least an hour and a half to do. They said, and I'm directly quoting, "No, these returns must be on pallets and on the sales floor before you leave." Cue malicious compliance. After the manager walked away, I put my plan into action. I was planning on leaving the store on a high note anyways, and got 7 pallets. 4 of the carts I just put up on the pallets, and for the other 3, I dumped their entire contents onto a pallet. I then took those pallets out to the sales floor and put them in random locations all over the store. Then I clocked out and handed in my name tag. As I was leaving, I could hear one of the managers, the one we called the witch who got pissy over everything, even about us getting done early, screaming for me to come back and do my job properly. I just said, "It's not my job anymore, witch," and walked out the door while flipping her off. I then proceeded to do a few donuts in the parking lot of my truck to piss people off even more. Now I know I really screwed the night shift over, but darn was it satisfying to see the look on that manager's face when I told her off. If I hate the job, you can't make me do overtime, can you? If that's the last day I'm working there and I don't want to work any longer, I'm going to clock out when I fulfill my hourly requirements and leave. He'll be right with you. I, female, work in the male-dominated industry of construction as an estimator and project manager. That's pretty much the background necessary. I am one of 2 estimators in my office. One day, a man walked in and I went to greet him as the office manager was out and the other estimator was on the phone. When I asked him how could I help him, he asked if he could speak to someone who knew what they were talking about. I tried not to be instantly irritated and explained to him that I was an estimator and could give him a price. He said,
"This is rather complicated. So is there a guy here that will understand this?"
I had seen his drawings and knew it was a rather easy job. Instead, I told him Bob would be right with him and to have a seat. Told Bob he had a customer waiting. Bob informed me that he'd be on the phone for at least another half hour. "Sorry, Bob, the customer has requested to wait for you." An hour goes by and Bob comes in my office and asked why I didn't help that guy because the job was so easy. I told him the story and he said fair enough and walked out. I mean, I guess the customer got exactly what they were asking for, even though they wasted an hour of their time getting exactly what is ordered. I never thought I would post here in a subreddit like this, but I'm posting on behalf of my brother, we'll call him Jason, who started his first job and not 3 days into it, met his first Karen and witnessed a really satisfying case of malicious compliance. For background, he started his job at a popular pizza chain and was with 3 other employees, Alicia, Kaylee, and Jess, all 3 of whom were easygoing young women who were showing him the ropes. It was a busy day and in walks our future Karen. But at the time she was seemingly nice and even left a small tip for the initial order, wings and a pizza. Cut to about an hour later, she calls and Jason is the one managing the phone. She tells him that her pizza was completely undercooked and disgusting and it tastes as if someone had just poured an entire pile of butter on it. And she demands a new pizza be delivered to her home for her for free. Keep in mind that 1, she initially came in to pick up her first order, and 2, this pizza place has a delivery fee. So Jason, unsure what to do because it is his 3rd day, calls over his coworker, Jess. And they were talking about what to do for the situation. And meanwhile, he is still on the phone, keeping her on hold, and Jess says to him that if she wants it, she'll have to come back to the store to get it. So Jess goes to start the pizza, and Jason informs Karen that they were not able to deliver, but they were still able to honor her request. Her last words before hanging up were a snippy, "Fine, I'll go there and I'll make a scene." Yikes. Jason informs Jess of what she said, and she takes the pizza that almost went in the oven and throws it right away. I'm not making that witch her pizza. Way to go, Jess. Out walks the shift leader, Kaylee, who asks why Jess threw away that pizza. Jason catches the shift leader up to speed and Kaylee just sort of shrugs it off. Cut to another hour later. Karen comes storming in, her previous box of pizza in hand, slightly more in disarray than she previously had been. Jason says, knowing who she is, "Hi, how can I help you?" "Hi, I'm here for my pizza." Kaylee steps in at the moment and asks, "Are you the woman from the phone?" "Of course! Look at this," she says haughtily and opens the pizza box, revealing the already half-eaten cheese pizza that didn't have anything wrong with it. Kaylee responds, "I don't care. Did you threaten my employee?" Clearly taken aback by this accusation, Karen exclaims in self-defense, "No, of course not. No one threatened anyone." Okay, well, he says otherwise. Karen insists she did nothing wrong. "I said my pizza was undercooked and calmly asked for a new one." Jason shakes his head. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but that's not what you said." Karen, now being caught in a lie for some reason, now says, "I wasn't even the one who called." Alicia steps in, then pulls Jason over to the side while Kaylee and Karen continue and says, "Alright, we're just gonna pretend to do something and listen in on this." Karen's final words on the matter before Kaylee gives in to end up remaking her pizza are, "My kids are starving, this is not acceptable." And so they begin to make her pizza. Karen complained it was underdone, so they are extra careful to be sure the crust was burnt and hard. She complained that it was too much garlic on the crust, so they place none on and leave it bland for her. No oil is in sight. When they give her the pizza, Jason smiles. She opens it and sees the disaster of a pizza, looks up with disgust, realizes she's not going to win against 4 young people who refuse to be treated like garbage by customers, and leaves in defeat. She calls corporate, so he's heard, but nothing will probably come of it. Hope your starving kids enjoyed the wings that you didn't bring in. So was she just doing this to try to get a free pizza? Just an additional thing? Trying to scam the pizza place? I'm glad she left there with a pretty bad pizza. Only attend meetings you are invited to. This happened a couple of years ago. My boss wanted me to attend a conference in another city and that I am to attend everything. I looked at the agenda and there was an additional meeting associated with the conference that looked like I didn't need to attend. When I tried to ask her about it, she cut me off and said, "Everything." So I went to the meeting. I got a lot of side-eyed looks, was asked why I was there at one point, to which my reply was, "My boss told me to attend." They know my boss. I ran into my boss the next day at the conference. She asked if I attended the meeting. I told her I did and would be happy to report what I had learned. She just said, "Not good," turned her back to me and started talking with someone else. Back at work the following week, she called me in for a meeting to tell me that I should not have attended that meeting and that in the future I will only attend the meetings I am specifically invited to. Again, she cut me off when I tried to explain. A couple of days later, our department was having an important meeting and an Outlook meeting notice went out to everyone. But not to me. I worked away as all of my coworkers shuffle off to the meeting and then back again at the conclusion of the meeting. My boss comes to my cubicle, pissed off. "Why weren't you at the meeting?" It was hard not to smile when I told her that I was not invited. Her face turned red and she stammered, "That was an oversight." I just shrugged my shoulders and told her I was just respecting her directions. She stormed off. Amazingly, I still work there, but she has improved her communication a little bit. Maybe if you would let your employees finish out their sentences, there wouldn't be any issues. One thing that frustrates me to my core is people who won't let you get a sentence out, or at least let you finish your thoughts when you are expressing them and there was no prior thing going on. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today. So what I want to know is, which of these stories was your personal favorite of the day and why? Let me know which story and why in the comments section down below. And thank you all so very much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel today. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video from the Storytime channel. Thank you all again so very much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.